welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on and joining and watching and liking and commenting and subscribing. Don't know what I would do without you all. In this video, I'm gonna be sharing 7 tips, about 7 I think, tips that work for me. What happened to my baby? I hear my baby cry. Phoebe must have slammed some door. I've been trying to record this video from morning, right? Without success. So I'm in Phoebe's room, record this and get on with the night. For those of you who don't know the backstory, I'm gonna invite you to check out my previous video, which I'm gonna link. Check that out, it will fill it in, and then you come back to this one, or you can watch this one and then go back to the previous one. But I had a VBAC, which stands for vaginal birth after cesarean section. I had her 2 months ago, and I want to share with you 7 tips that work for me, right? So first tip, have a positive mind and attitude. Now that usually that have to be before you even conceive, while you're pregnant, and of course leading up to and through labor and delivery. Why you have to have a positive mind and attitude? Because VBACs are not usually the first option for women who have had cesarean sections previously, right? In fact, though the numbers of VBACs have increased, I would say that you still get a fight. And it's not just in Jamaica, you're still going to have a challenge. It's not something that you'll be like, you sit to your medical team and they're like, oh yeah, no problem. You may have to go through a whole lot of convincing, but if you can convince yourself first and foremost that you can do it, then that's really where it starts. And some people might say, why would you need to convince yourself that you can do it? If you're like me, having not gone through a regular labor and delivery, some of the thoughts that might plague a woman like that, as it did me, some thoughts would be like, maybe I can't deliver vaginally, maybe I can't deliver naturally, especially if you're not sure exactly why you got a cesarean section in the first place. Is it something that's likely to happen again, and all that kind of stuff. So you're going to meet all sorts of opposition in your head. You may meet all sorts of opposition, around you, but you have to start with a positive mind and attitude. It all starts in the mind, right? To be able to push yourself for the journey that you will go on. So don't take it lightly that you can entertain negative thoughts about it. You have to get yourself in the mindset. You have to psych yourself up. Yes, I can do this. That's where it has to start. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is, it can't just be, oh, I can do this, yeah, I can do this. You have to go beyond that. You have to do your research, right? Because your research will help you to really know if you can in fact do it. What do I mean by that? One of the most common things that women who want to attempt a vaginal birth after cesarean section or VBAC will experience is persons constantly mentioning the risk. Remember, you had a cut, you have a cut. Suppose while you're trying to push, the cut opens back up, and you have that risk of uterine rupture. Now, one of the ways that you can know if you're able to press forward, having gathered the information, you're learning more about uterine rupture. I did that, and I learned, while uterine rupture is in fact a risk, I learned that the risk is pretty low, that's likely to happen. It would depend on the type of incision you got for your cesarean section. They say it needs to be a low transverse abdominal, something to that effect. In fact, I went on a journey to gather the information from 2020, and I didn't have to wait until 2023. Right, way ahead, I reached out to a couple of OBs. I'll show the screenshot of some of the things that she listed in order to provide me with the information I would need to know whether or not, oh, I can do it or I can't do it. But you have to have the information. right? You can't go in it blindly and hope for the best, because again, because an it's not unconventional, but because it's not necessarily the easiest route to go, you really want to have all the information at your fingertips. So look up what the risks are, look up how likely that is to happen, look up everything you can, I would say, about VBACs, how women, watch other videos about positive videos, that is, of success stories of how other women got through it, and go from there. So tip number 2, gather information, do your research about what a VBAC is, try to understand in terms of being able to meet certain criteria in order to be able to do it. Third thing, understanding medical history, and it probably kind of sound like tip 2, which is gather information, but when I say have an understanding of the medical history, you have to know what stage you're in from a health perspective. Are you sick? After you had the first baby, like, did you develop any issues that could then affect your ability to push out this baby? We're not talking about optimal health here. I don't want to make it sound like, oh yeah, you can't have no issues at all. But remember, you're gonna have some kind of pushback, or you're likely to have some pushback. So you have to make sure that you understand your medical condition, your medical history. Are you healthy? Are you not healthy? Whatever issue you have, is it something that is likely to reduce your chances of being able to deliver this next baby vaginally, or is it something that it will not necessarily affect it? I wanted so much to know my medical history, not from a perspective of me not knowing whether or not I was sick, because I was always a girl who, like, I'm the type to tell you, listen to your body, and really follow up how, my health, really follow my health, take my health really seriously. But when I talk about the history, I reached out to the hospital that delivered my first child via cesarean section, and I made an application for my medical records, right? Because I wanted to understand what they documented. You have to pay for it. I don't know only for money either, but you're able to get the information. And interestingly, I went through the whole process. I paid for the documents. I went up there because you have to fill out like a form and whatever. So I went through the whole process. And when they called me and told me that it was ready, I was like, okay, I'm gonna come for it in, like I would say, I'll come for it in a couple of days. And after a couple of days, I was just like, yeah, I'm not going for it, right? And I'm gonna tell you why. Because back to tip number 1, positive mindset. I was already kind of not interested in really what the OB or whoever had written on my document because of my experience at the hospital. So I was like, I'm not gonna go there and then make myself super nervous based on what they write. I didn't know what they wrote. I didn't, but I knew I felt okay. I knew that it was not an issue with me physically, right? So I was just like, I'm not gonna take all those, because I was in the hospital for a number of days, and so I never bother go collect it. I never bother go collect the medical what happened at the previous birth. I just went off of what was told to me, which was that it was positional / failure to progress. I'm saying, if it is a case where you're completely unsure, you're blank, like you're a blank slate, you have no idea what, like you're just out of it, try to summon those records and understand, and take what you need to take and leave what you need to leave, right? This is completely subjective, right? It don't mean you have to sit down and go through that fine to come, but see how certain things may affect you, your next labor and delivery, and then take it from there, right? So get acquainted with your medical history and understand it, because there's one thing to, like some people, they go to the doctor and the doctor say they have one thing, and then when I ask them, so what that mean? Well, I'm not really sure, but that the doctor said, try to understand exactly what is happening, right, in your body. Plan the environment. Plan your birth environment. Oh my goodness. If you watch my previous video, you know that my original intention was to have my child at home, right? Why? Because again, I wanted to control as much of the variables as I could. This is how it works. Once a woman goes into labor, right, the minute she leaves her home, the intervention has started, if you know what I mean. And my goal, in order to have a successful VBAC, I kept telling myself, I have to minimize intervention. I have to minimize intervention. You might wonder why. When I was pregnant with Phoebe, my water broke, and immediately as my water broke, I rushed to the hospital, as you're advised to do, right? Rushed to the hospital. I wasn't feeling any contractions or anything like that. Everything happened super quickly. I rushed to the hospital. I was inside. They came. I mean, it felt like a couple of hours really before I was rushed into surgery. And yeah, it all happened so quickly. Because the truth is, once you get to the hospital, you're handed over to the care of those medical providers there. So I wanted to minimize the intervention or delay intervention for as long as possible, or completely. I can't eliminate it because, as I said, I had planned to use a midwife. But yeah, I wanted to plan the environment. I remember I told my husband, I picked out the room where we're going to be, what kind of song I would play. Like, I wanted to control all of it. I wanted to be comfortable. There's no way that you're gonna be attempting to do a vaginal birth after cesarean section and you just want to leave it up to chance where everything happens. You want to make sure that you're comfortable, because again, as was with my case, it's a little nerve-wracking, or a lot of nerve-wracking, because you don't know how things are gonna go. So that which you can control, you try to control it. So you plan how, when, who, right, you want at the birth and that kind of thing, so that as you approach it, the anxiety is not as much, because you already have in place things and people who will help to make you feel comfortable, right? To plan that environment that you want to deliver. You want to deliver in. Research and learn about labor, right? Because I never have what you call a normal labor experience with my first child, I had to look it up. Like, I had to look up what, because I didn't even know what a contraction was like. I mean, I remember when I went to the hospital with my first child, and they string me up to the machine, and they said, she was like, are you feeling any contractions? And I'm like, no. She's like, well, the machine is showing that you're contracting. And I'm like, I'm not feeling anything, right? And they hadn't given me any, right, to prevent it. So I didn't have a regular experience with that. So how would I then know going forward, when I've actually gone into labor, what is really of concern? When should I really try to get to the hospital if I'm going to the hospital? When should I really, you get what I'm saying? So you have to learn, right, about the labor process. You have to learn what is happening when the baby, and this is super, super important, not just with labor, from before labor, right? I had to learn about what was happening. How important the baby position was. I didn't even know, right, that how I slept, I slept on my left side. I was left side, I cramp up, right, because they say when you lie down on your left side, you give the baby more room to turn, and I wanted to make sure that everything was in place to allow for a spontaneous labor, because of course your chances of successfully having a VBAC lessen if you have to be induced, right? You want to go into spontaneous labor. You want the baby to start, that process. So that would be head down. If the baby is breech, by the time you go into labor, then that significantly increases your chances of having to do a cesarean section. So from the beginning of the pregnancy, I was paying attention to how I sat down, how I was sleeping, use the pregnancy pillow, trying I've got an exercise ball, which you can see there, and all of those things, because I needed to learn about labor, not just labor, active labor, but all that preceded active labor. And it also empowered me, because then I would know what is happening. I'll be able to say, no, this is fine, it's okay. The fact that I'm feeling a little pressure here, this is the baby's head, this is not something that I need to freak out about and run to the no, because again, I wanted to minimize intervention. I wanted to control as much of the variables as I possibly could. So that meant I need to learn so that I could participate in my labor and not completely freak out when something that I don't understand was happening. To get the right support, right? Oh my goodness, I cannot emphasize enough how that tip is you have to have the right support. And when I say the right support, you don't have to have a whole lot of people, a whole fan club dedicated to the fact that you're going to do a vaginal birth after cesarean, or attempt to do a vaginal birth after cesarean. No. In fact, keeping quiet as much as possible may be more beneficial, because people have their different opinions. Some are helpful, others not so much, but everybody has, some people are going to be concerned and all that kind of thing. And again, you want to keep a positive mindset. You don't want to be bombarded by other people's concerns, and you give thought, because of course you're concerned yourself, but you give thought to the fact that, hey, I don't need to be walking and telling everybody, hey, when they ask, how are things going? I'm like, they're going okay, because I didn't want to say, oh yeah man, I'm planning to attempt to do a VBAC at home, and all that kind of stuff, because again, you don't want to count other people's concerns. You already have your own concerns about the process, right? So those are really what worked for me, and eventually I was successful, and I'm again very grateful for that. There are, I'm sure, many other things that worked, and my baby came after my due date, which became nerve-wracking for me because again, as I said, I wanted to ensure that I went into spontaneous labor. So for my next video, I really want to share with you guys how I induced my labor, or what steps I took to try to induce labor naturally, because I was like, if these people have induced me, I'm pretty sure, so then going to try and put a disclaimer here. This of course is not, I'm not assuming that because you had a cesarean delivery at first you want to attempt to do a VBAC. This is for those who actually want to deliver vaginally. Some people are completely fine with what is called an elective repeat cesarean delivery. They don't have a problem saying, yeah man, I'll do another C-section. I personally had that desire, you know what I mean? Not every woman who has had a C-section desires to deliver vaginally. Some people are like, hey, to me that better than to sit down to try to push out baby. Some people will be like myself, I don't want to go, because it's a major abdominal surgery. So that was one of my reasons. I didn't want to go under the knife again, as well as the fact that I wanted to experience, I wanted that experience for myself. I wanted regular labor. I wanted to know what contractions felt like. Whoa. And I did learn, because I had no medication, no pain, no, what them call it something, no, what them call it, somebody with them here, the pain, epidural, none of that, icy winky, but again, I wouldn't trade it for the world back, because I wanted to experience that. So yeah, those are my tips. Don't forget to like this video if you found any value at all. Do leave a comment and let me know, what you think. Repeat cesarean or attempting a VBAC. What are your thoughts as it relates to which one is more risky? Right, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Do subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Do share the video. Maybe somebody who has had a cesarean section, and is thinking of attempting a VBAC here in Jamaica. Show them the video. And all of them 10 pick me already, still show them the video, just share the video for me please. I think I'm at like 70 something subscribers. I'm gonna be doing a little dry begging right now and asking you all to help me move up to 100 subscribers within the next few weeks. I'd really appreciate it. I'm trying to grow the channel and I need your help. So thanks again for watching. See you soon. Bye.